Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I am your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. Now today I'm going to talk you through something of a British institution because there is nothing quite like the experience which you can get if you have afternoon tea at one of the grand London hotels. And whilst there are many great hotels, and I'm thinking of places like the Ritz, the Savoy, the Dorchester, for me, there is one place which is very special, and that is Claridge's. Now, I recently had a visit, in fact, a week today, as I record this, I had a visit to Claridge's. I stayed the night in the hotel, and I partook of afternoon tea with my family to celebrate my 55th birthday. And today I'm going to talk about my visit to Claridge's and what it's like having afternoon tea. Because if you are maybe a tourist considering coming to the UK, or maybe a British person who's planning a trip to the capital city of London and you fancy something a little elegant, a little special, an experience that will linger in the mind for the rest of your life, I think tea at Claridge's is something which ticks that box. Now, Claridge's is situated right in the very heart of London, in Mayfair. In fact, just a very short distance, maybe 100, 200 yards from New Bond Street. So you may even be walking down that haloed location of retail therapy, where all of the great jewellery stores and fashion outlets have a branch, but just tucked away is Claridge's. Now, it's been providing afternoon tea for people for I think over 150 years, and it is a magnificent hotel from the get-go. I first visited Claridge's 15 years ago exactly. I remember this because I went there for my 40th birthday. We stayed a couple of nights. I had to go to an event in London with my wife, who was heavily pregnant at the time. So 15 years later, I find myself back in Claridge's, booked in for afternoon tea to celebrate my 55th birthday, and that large bump that my wife had 15 years ago was now sat at the table with us, somewhat taller and better looking than I am myself. So the years have passed, but the hotel remains wonderfully grounded with its amazing position in heritage, history, but also contemporary indulgence. Now, before I talk about the actual dining experience of afternoon tea, you cannot not speak about the opulence and the grandeur which you're faced by when you walk in through those famous revolving doors at the front of Claridge's. You're met with a spectacular foyer, which is in the Art Deco style with black and white checkered tiles on the floor, and I've always thought from the very beginning that Claridge's walks the tightrope between extreme grandeur and grounded embrace to somebody who walks in. Now, as an ordinary guy, it is not my habit to visit great hotels, but when you walk in there, the staff exude a welcome which is almost family-like in its nature. Now, you'd think a place like this could be a little stuffy because of its history. In fact, when you walk in through the door, you're passing the door guardians, whatever you want to call them, who are wearing top hats, capes in the winter time. It can feel as if you're entering into an environment which is very unfamiliar. But nothing could be further from the truth. Those staff are not stuffy, they're not haughty, they are friendly and cheerful, and they just make you feel at home from the very beginning. Every interaction I had with the staff in Claridge's made me walk away feeling that I'd just made a new friend, which is not something you encounter in all of these great hotels, which perhaps lean a little too heavily on their tradition, and they exude that feeling. Now, in the foyer and the reading room where afternoon tea is taken, you are met with plush surroundings. The furniture is stylish yet elegant. It kind of exudes class. Also, if you go in for afternoon tea, which is what I'm talking about here today, you will get the sounds of soft piano music. And when I visited the other day, not only was there a pianist, there was a cello player, and they were kind of jamming along, and it just set this amazing ambience, and it was a wonderfully relaxing, enjoyable experience to walk into. It gives you that, it brings you down, makes you feel great. Now, just to get this out there at the very beginning, I want to talk about the prices, because you're probably thinking, this sounds expensive. Well, of course it's not cheap, but afternoon tea, you get quite a lot for your money. And I'll tell you what the prices are. The standard traditional afternoon tea is £95 per person. Now, when I tell you what you get for that, it sounds almost reasonable. So £95. If you want to go a little more fancy, which I did when I visited last week, it was my birthday after all, I went for champagne afternoon tea, which is basically a traditional afternoon tea, but with a glass of champagne. £110. So basically you're paying £15 more, and you get a lovely glass of Laurent Perrier champagne on my visit last week. If you're taking a child with you, that is a children's afternoon tea for £45, and it's tailored more towards the child. So actually, when you break it down, when I tell you what you get for that price, you are going to be surprised, and you're going to think to yourself, that doesn't sound too bad. Dress code, they don't really set a dress code. They say, dress for the situation, but be comfortable. They're not going to welcome you if you're wearing flip-flops or Crocs and a dry robe, let's be honest. But there were people there wearing quite casual clothing, polo shirts. I and my family, we dressed for the occasion. It was a special occasion. It was my birthday. I was wearing a three-piece suit. My son was wearing a suit. My wife was wearing, appropriate clothing for a lady. You can dress to whatever standard you wish. It's not unnecessarily stuffy when it comes to the dress code. So, let's talk about the dining experience, because you really do get a symphony of delicate yet enjoyable flavours in the food that you're going to eat. And it's of course special because it's not something you would probably do yourself when you're at home. Your server, for a start, will look after you like you are royalty itself. Now, your waiter or waitress, they'll be clad in a white dinner jacket, the sort of livery which all of the servers wear in Claridge'S. And look carefully. You will notice that their shirts all have Claridge's cufflinks. Everything, all of the details, the boxes are ticked. They take a lot of interest in making sure that your experience is down to the fine detail. And from the beginning, they will talk you through the dining experience. They will tell you what you've got to look forward to when you're having your afternoon tea. They'll introduce themselves. They'll call you by name from that point onwards. And it really feels like, after the 90 minutes that you spend there generally, you will have made a new friend. So it's a really special thing. They make your experience very special just for you. And it is quite a bespoke experience. So you will start off, they will bring you a platter of fine finger sandwiches. Now, these are sandwiches, they're all on artisan bread. They've all had their crusts cut off, and it doesn't look like a great deal when they plonk it in front of you. But the flavours are exquisite. And I'll tell you what you get. You get English cucumber with creme fraiche and mint. You will get Burford brown egg and mustard with mayo. Severn Wye River smoked salmon with dill. Roasted chicken with tarragon and mayo. And Dorrington ham with onion and tomato relish. And each sandwich is served on its own special bread. And let me tell you, it is a spectacular feast for the palate. We absolutely enjoyed it. And once you've devoured your first plate of sandwiches, the waiter will come up and say, do you want more? Do you want more salmon, smoked salmon sandwiches? Do you want a full platter of the same again? Or do you want a whole platter just full of, egg and mayonnaise? Or do you want a bit of this and a bit of that? This is a truly bespoke dining experience. They'll bring you what you want. And you get a second platter. they'll bring you a third and a fourth if you can eat it fast enough. But for me and my family, we had 2 platters. And that was plenty. They brought a platter for me and my wife, one for my son. So, plenty and plenty of eating. As they're doing this, of course, they've poured us a glass of champagne. And you have to choose from the afternoon tea. Well, it's called afternoon tea for a reason. You have to choose from the tea menu. Now, there are dozens of teas on that menu. It's all loose leaf tea of the very highest quality. You can, of course, have coffee if that's your preference. My son had an iced coffee. But me and my wife, we chose, having dined there before and had this experience previously, we had the Claridge'S tea blend. And of course the waiter brings it in a teapot, and there's they do the old tea strainer. It's all done in the traditional manner, and the tea is beautiful, and it accompanies your sandwiches and your glass of champagne. It's a really enjoyable experience. And as you drink some, the guy is there topping it up. Once the pot runs dry, another pot will be brought for you. If you want a different flavour, you can ask for it. As I said, this is a bespoke experience. You get exactly what you want for the time that you're there, and it feels really special, but not rushed, not hurried. You're looking around at all the other folks enjoying their same afternoon tea experience, all embarking upon this journey of afternoon splendour. This is where it all comes from. It's such a special occasion. Now then, what I think is the main star of the show arrives, and that's a plateful of scones. Now your scones there'll be some plain, and there will be some with raisins, and they will be served with the finest Cornish clotted cream, and for me, what I absolutely adore, Claridge's afternoon tea jam. Now this is special stuff. It is a jam, strawberry and raspberry jam, which is infused with a tea flavour. And I remember the first time I dined upon this 15 years ago on my 40th birthday, the jam was so special, I couldn't get it out of my head. And years later, I was delighted when Claridge's opened up a small shop next door to the entrance to the hotel, and you could actually buy the jam in little pots. It's very special stuff. So you embark upon the scones, and they are delightful, of course. Then you have to choose whether you put the jam on first or the cream. Do whichever way you like. Nobody's judging you. After you've scoffed your scones, your waiter's back there waiting for you and saying, same again? Now, if you want, he will bring you another platter full of scones. I'd had enough by this point, but my waiter reminded me that anything that I couldn't eat there and then, they will box up at the end of the meal. This includes your sandwiches and your cakes, and you can take them away with you, which of course we did. So we had another platter of scones. My son's a growing lad. He got stuck into it. But yeah, it's normally enough one platter, but you can have as many as you like. Now, whilst your scones are being served, as well as topping up your tea or coffee, your waiter then brings for you, you think, how can you eat more? Your waiter brings for you a platter of fine handmade pastries. Now, these are made fresh every day by the well-known pastry chef from Claridge's, and again, it is a combination of festive flavours, and it is a beautiful a sort of addition to everything that you've already eaten. Again, if you eat them all, they'll bring you another platter. If you don't eat them all, they'll box them up for you and take them away, and you can eat them later that evening or tomorrow, whatever's your situation. As it happened, my wife mentioned that it was my birthday to the waiter at the beginning. They actually asked, is today a special occasion or anything like that? My wife said, yes, it's my husband's birthday. And at this stage, the waiter brought a small birthday cake with a candle. And, it just adds to the special occasion. And it was very well done. After our slot, I reflected upon this, and I thought to myself, Claridge's do this. I've had afternoon tea in a number of the great hotels around London. The Connaught, I have been to the Dorchester a number of times. Dorchester's really good, actually. But for me, Claridge's just have the edge. There is something about this hotel, a whiff of exclusivity, of friendliness, as well as the grandeur, which works very special. And very much part of it is the art of service which you get in Claridge's. As I say, our server, when we had afternoon tea, was delightful, very friendly, very chipper, wasn't overbearing, wasn't standing over you waiting to serve you. He just was moving around, and every time you needed something, he was there. This was something which was reflected throughout my whole stay in Claridge's. In fact, on 3 occasions, it happened that I mentioned it was my birthday to a member of staff, and on 3 occasions, I had a birthday cake provided for me. One was waiting in the hotel room when we got there, one by the waiter in afternoon tea, and later, the following morning at breakfast, I mentioned I was there to celebrate a birthday. By the time I got back to my hotel room, there was another birthday cake waiting in the hotel room because the waiter I'd spoken to had ordered a cake and had it sent to my room. These people really know how to make your experience special. They are knowledgeable, they're attentive, but in a friendly way. At no occasion during my stay, and I was only there for 1 night, did anybody not refer to me by my name, Mr. Jones. How's your stay, Mr. Jones? Are you ready for your breakfast, Mr. Jones? It's very, very special. So I can only sing the praises of Claridge's. And if you're thinking of going to town and you want to spend a little bit of money and have a great special afternoon, maybe you're going to celebrate a special occasion, an anniversary, a birthday, a promotion, whatever, definitely get Claridge's on the list. Now, there's a little practical information I just want to mention. Firstly, it's very, very popular. You need to book way in advance, particularly if you're going during a holiday period where lots of people will have the same idea. So planning ahead, get it booked in. Afternoon tea is served from 2:45 in the afternoon until 5:30, and you get a 90-minute slot to enjoy your experience. So think about when you're going to have this, how it's going to fit in with your day. And as I said already, the dress code, you can dress up, I certainly did, special event for me, or you can go far more casually if it's something which dressing up is not part of your normal lexicon for living. But it's one of the most special occasions that I can recommend to somebody going to London. Whether you're celebrating a special occasion or you're just seeking an experience which is going to linger in the mind for the rest of your life. And I can say, I had afternoon tea in Claridge's 15 years ago. I had it last week. It has not diminished in any way. In fact, I would say the experience has got better. So whilst Claridge's has been doing this for over 150 years, it certainly has not lost any of its splendour when you have this. And of course, yes, it is a treat. It is a little bit expensive. But I don't think it's excessively expensive, not in the wider world, where, you know, £95 for a jolly good feed up in one of the greatest hotels in the world. And you don't have to tip, you know, service charge is all included in the bill. You go in, you have the experience, you walk out. There's no feeling that you've got to tip anybody. It's a really comfortable, pleasant environment. So for me, it's unlike any other. Now, just as I'm talking about Claridge's, and to tack on a little bit about it, I'll just mention a little bit of a review, really, of my entire stay. Now, I arrived at Claridge's the morning of my afternoon tea, and it is a genuine 5-star hotel. I like staying in nice hotels. I've stayed in nice hotels all around the world, from the US to the UK to Europe, even the Middle East. Stayed in a 5-star hotel in Oman last year, and Abu Dhabi, Dubai. We've done them all. There is nowhere which exudes the pleasantries, the friendliness, I think, of Claridge's. It is very, very special. We had a lovely suite, and it's got all of the touches that you would expect. You know, you walk in, you have the most amazing linen. You can choose what type of pillows you want. The bathroom is a cacophony of marble. Even the toilet had a heated seat which raised up and down and operated as a bidet as well. You know, it is absolutely first class. All of the touches are done to the highest degree. Your hairdryer, which I didn't need to use, was the latest Dyson hairdryer. There's a steamer if you want to just whip over your clothes. You know, everything was first class. Turn down service. I came into the room later that evening, having told the staff downstairs that it was my birthday. The bed had turned down. There was the traditional Claridge's chocolate, but also a birthday cake and a bottle of Laurent Perrier champagne in an ice bucket, which was a gift from the hotel to celebrate my birthday. It's these little touches, an amazing bar in the hotel room with lots of little pieces that you need. All the soft drinks are complimentary. There's a complimentary alcoholic drink in the hotel room when you get in there. It was elegance and opulence from the get-go. Right down in the basement of the hotel, it's had a fabulous regeneration in recent years. They've dug down. There's an amazing spa with a swimming pool, which we enjoyed, and everything is spotless, immaculate, and perfect. And everywhere you turn, there's a staff member there seeking to assist you, but not in an overbearing manner. Everything was wonderful. Breakfast the following morning, superb. An amazing choice off the menu. I think I had scrambled eggs and smoked salmon myself, but you can have anything. And, you know, it's just fabulous from the beginning. And the service is not cheap there. You know, so the whole experience is not cheap. You know, our whole experience was to the tune of about £1,000. But these are once every 15-year events. You're staying in an amazing hotel. You had a balcony. Everything was spot on. But you have to indulge yourself every so often. And for me, a birthday, you know, is that occasion where I can write off those little indulgences. And I'll leave you today with a quote from somebody, a famous movie star of the bygone era, Spencer Tracy. He once said, "When I die, I don't want to go to heaven. I want to go to Claridge'S." And I absolutely echo Spencer Tracy there. For me, it is heaven on earth to visit Claridge'S. The next time you're in town, whether you intend to stay there or not, whether you intend to go in and just use the bar, or maybe book a special experience and have afternoon tea, walk in through the door, indulge yourself. Just have a walk around, have a look. It doesn't cost a penny. They don't mind. You won't forget it. So there we go. That was my review of afternoon tea in Claridge'S and a little bit of a review of my stay there just last week. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more. If you'd like to support my channel, you could buy me a coffee, or you can become a patron. You'll benefit from the additional videos which I make each week and a personal dialogue with me if you want to have that. So, until the next time, indulge yourself every so often, even if it's only once every 15 years. You're special. You're worth it. And I'll see you again very soon.